Today's the day to drive to the Hard Rock Cafe, but you're going to walk for babies. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Stevens Floor Covering Center on Highway 17 Bypass in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on Horry County's Walk America kickoff today, and we're visiting with one of its dedicated volunteers, Nick Sherfesee. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Thank you for coming in. 7 a.m. here.
Early.
Yeah, it's a little early, but at least it's easy to find out here on the bypass.
Very close, very convenient.
That's right, not far from Wachovia.
Or home.
Or home.
Or
That's,
home.
Oh, do you live close by?
Fairly close by.
That's
so
great.
it's not
That's
far.
great. Yeah, you'll be heading into work from here. Well, thanks for coming in. It's so exciting to think we've gotten to the Walk America kickoff today.
Oh, man, it's going to be a great time. Everybody needs to really mark on their calendar 4:30 this afternoon at Hard Rock Cafe. It's
Right.
going to be a great kickoff.
You know, I was talking to Joe Fisher last week, and she said, I want folks to get there as early as possible. They can get there at 4. The parking will be tremendous. Obviously, all that ample parking out at the Hard Rock Cafe, they can get there early, and they've closed down the cafe between 4:30 and 6:30 to open it up for the March of Dimes.
Well, they've really done a great service for the March of Dimes, and we're so grateful to those folks for all that help.
Yeah.
And whenever there's an event at Hard Rock, that place always fills up. So we're just counting on a big crowd. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It cranks. Well, we'll get more into that and what all's going on. But real quick about yourself, Nick. Are you originally from the area?
No, sir. I'm just an interloper from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a stretch.
It's a stretch.
What brought you to the area, or even the Palmetto State?
Well, my father, his family, immigrated to Charleston in the early 1800s, and he graduated from the Citadel in 1929. That's kind of a tough year to be graduating from college with the Depression starting, the stock market crash. He found a job in Philadelphia, and hence all of my siblings were born and reared there. However, Dad, being a Citadel grad, gave me no choice of any place else to go but to the best military college in the world, the Citadel. So
you attended the Citadel.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. Do you think of yourself as a military guy?
No.
Not. Does Kim? Yeah.
Most probably, but no, I don't. But it really is the best thing, one of the best things I've ever done.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
Those 4 years there.
Mm-hmm. The friends and the camaraderie and the education is unparalleled anywhere, in my opinion.
What's the Citadel like? I mean, for viewers who aren't familiar with it, our viewers in the PD or Southeast North Carolina, or even down here, what's it like being down there? And do you go back there often?
Well,
go
back often, and it continually evolves. I mean, any living, breathing organism or organization will change, and the Citadel changes, but still it's an essential military school, and it is a whole different way of life. It's Spartan. But it's just like everybody reads and hears that they kind of tear you down to build you back up. But the end result has been so positive for everybody that I know that's ever been through it or has even started through it. So a lot of the folks that went didn't finish for whatever reason. They'll always come back and say, "I went there. I'm sorry I didn't finish."
Wow. Yeah. Did you have brothers and sisters growing up, Dave?
I did. I have an elder brother who lives in Philadelphia area and a younger sister who lives in the Philadelphia area, and I have a younger brother who lives in Rockmart, Georgia, which is just between Rome, Georgia and Atlanta.
So 2 have stayed in the Philly area.
Right.
1 in Georgia, and you're here in the Palmetto State, and you've had ties to this state for quite a while.
Oh, a long time, yeah. Started working my career after I graduated from the Citadel in 1965. And left in 1968, but came back here in 1993, and have been right here in Myrtle Beach ever since.
You've been in Myrtle since 93.
93.
I thought for some reason you'd gotten back here in 90, but I knew it was the early 90s. Mm-hmm. You've been back here. Of course, you probably got active in the March of Dimes as soon as you could.
As a matter of fact, I was active in the March of Dimes before I got here.
Really?
And I think that's where, we've talked about this before, Greg,
Sure.
and that's where you came up with that 1990. In 1990, I joined predecessor of Wachovia, First Union, in Gainesville, Florida.
Right.
And they were very active in the March of Dimes. And as a First Union employee, I didn't have too much to say whether or not I wanted to be part of it. We were going to be part of the March of Dimes, and started my volunteering efforts with them at that time.
What was that like, Nick, being down in Gainesville, of course, coming in for the first time and having the opportunity to be with them down there, and, of course, opening the doors to be active with them up here?
It was very exciting times down in Gainesville, and, you know, we talk about our walk that we have here, and this was 3 to 5 mile walk,
right,
depending on where we have it. Down there, they had a mini marathon. They had 13.5 mile walk every year.
Come on.
Right, and with all those college students and everything, it was the most fun. We always had blisters.
Oh, yeah.
And the team that raised the most money every year, one award we gave them, it was a bronzed boot that was all ripped up, and we called it the Order of the Battered Boot.
Oh, yeah.
And that was every year the award that we got, traveling award we got for raising the most money for the March of Dimes.
So First Union did well with
with the fundraising. Yeah, we really did.
And Wachovia has done the same thing up here. You guys cranked it out. I think over the last couple of years have continued to have one of the top teams for Horry County's Walk America.
They have been doing very well, Greg. I think last year they raised over $25,000.
Oh yeah, 27.
And they in that range every year, or a little bit more sometimes, a little bit less sometimes. But they've done very well.
It is tremendous when you think about all the work that has to go into volunteer for an organization. You know, when we think about, obviously in a couple of weeks we have the Heart Walk, Heart Ball coming up. So much that goes involved to try to raise $400,000 in the same way. All the volunteers that get active in the March of Dimes. But then there's some real easy things you do. Just show up, encourage folks to make a few donations, and use even dimes back as far back as 70 years ago. Using dimes, you could still use dimes today.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, we don't mind passing that bucket around and asking for loose change or whatever. And it all adds up.
It does.
It really does. And it's for... And, you know, really, if you ask someone, very rarely does someone not help out. And people are so generous, and particularly for something like the March of Dimes that's well known and recognized.
Oh, yeah. You know, when you get into the drive-through, and not only Wachovia, I'm sure a lot of banks, community banks, national banks, regional banks, whatever bank it is, the same commitment is there to help out the March of Dimes. Oftentimes pulling up in the Wachovia drive-through and seeing these baby boots all around, or coming into y'all's lobby and seeing the boots there, and to know there's, even if if a teller or a banker doesn't say anything about it, it's still that sign of a boot there, making you think and you want to ask, what's this about? How can I be involved?
Right, exactly. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes you say, well, would you like to buy a boot? And rather than saying how much, they'll give us $10, $20.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just really, they're very generous, very nice. But most folks do have a general idea what the March of Dimes is all about and the good that it does. So it makes that fundraising job so much more pleasant and easy to do.
Absolutely. If a viewer needs to get off to school now or get out to work, Nick, is there a good number that someone could call, whether it's to learn about today's event at the Hard Rock Cafe at 4:30 or even any other volunteer donation opportunities?
Well, sure. I think just call the office, the March of Dimes offices in Conway. It's 488-3463. That's 488-DIME.
D-I-M-E.
D-I-M-E.
Easy to remember,
Right.
488-DIME. And, of course, it is just that easy to make the phone call, whether, again, it's for an activity like today at 4:30 or like the Walk America kickoff, the event itself, which is in late April.
Correct. You call over there, they'll find out how real easy it is if they get to speak with Joe or Colleen. I mean, they'll just make it so easy for you to get involved and fun.
Absolutely.
And they'll sit there and hold your hand for about 2 minutes, but then they'll get you going, and they get you going in a hurry. So.
And they do. There's a ton of great materials, lots of stuff, not only for Walk America, but year-round. There's activities going on. Of course, the PD division of the March of Dimes has walks all over the place, whether it's in Georgetown or in Loris. They've got one in Lake City. Of course, there's another walk in Florence, but there's one in Dillon, in Marion, in Marlborough County. They're all over. I don't know how the heck did Joe and Colleen, just last week, they were doing stuff all over.
Only 2 people run that huge operation, and you know that they're wonderful, dedicated servants to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it does take a lot of work, and that's why we need volunteers. So if any of the viewers would be interested in getting involved in the March of Dimes, 488 Dime, and
Absolutely.
we'll get you started.
Absolutely, Nick. Let's think about, well, real quick, about the March of Dimes. For viewers who may not be familiar with the March of Dimes, could you share with them a little bit about when it kicked off and what its mission was, and has that evolved?
Well, it started approximately 70 years ago, and it started with President Roosevelt. And a lot of people may or may not know he had polio and was partially paralyzed and had a very difficult time getting around. Most of the film footage and everything you saw of him was kind of from his waist up, so you never really knew that he had those issues. But infantile paralysis, they called it at the time, and it was running rampant and through the country. And he made a speech one time, said that he was going to see what he could do to help eradicate polio, and that he was going to start the March of Dimes, and I think it was with Jimmy Durante.
Really?
Or Al, who was a famous comic, Al Jolson. I think it's either one of those two guys. And they had radiothons, and they asked everybody to send their dimes into the White House.
Oh, yeah.
So that began the March of Dimes.
And folks sent them in.
Absolutely, sent them in. And then when I was growing up, a little boy in school, we used to have these little coin cards, and we used to put our dimes in there. And every year we had our March of Dimes. And then the march started marching. We started taking them around to our neighbors and collecting our dimes to turn into school. And in 1953, I think it was, Dr. Jonas Salk, with March of Dimes Foundation support, invented the Salk vaccine that cured polio.
That is incredible.
And in the meantime, they had built up this wonderful cadre of volunteers nationwide, and they say, geez, what do we do now, because we've met our mission.
Right, right.
So,
which is so rare for a nonprofit or a charitable organization.
They pretty much had met their mission, so what do we do now? And they got together and started looking around and trying to figure out what they do. And of course, they had always been involved in children's issues, primarily with polio,
right,
since it usually struck the young. But then they kept the group together and said, well, let's go ahead and try to attack birth defects.
Yes.
And from there, we continue on today with our birth defects campaigns and, of course, our premature.
5 years ago, back in 2003, kicking off the push to really fight prematurity and get the word out and reduce prematurity. And, of course, when you talk to folks, Holly Hayes was with us last Wednesday, Nick, the statewide director for program services, and she'd been here, I understand, a couple weeks ago with Kathy Douglas for the Horry County Division board meeting. But it was fascinating hearing her talk about when that kicked off 5 years ago. There's still a desire constantly to fund research so that people find out why premature births are happening on such a high volume.
And they still don't know. There has been some research done. They have some thoughts, but every time they think that they've got a good angle on it, then it's dispelled, and then there's something else that. So we continue to work on it, and it takes so much money, Greg, so much time. And March of Dimes has really had its efforts and aimed right in on that area for the last 5 years.
And it will continue for as long as it needs to. So oftentimes when folks think about the March of Dimes, I think, how is the March of Dimes impacting me? And I think you answered that just moments ago.
Have you gotten your polio shot?
That's that's right. I mean, without the research for Salk to do what he did,
correct,
we'd still be having the very serious infantile
paralysis. And it's like you and I have talked earlier with heart disease and other things like that, where the March of Dimes is involved. It literally cuts through everything, and it affects everybody or every family. I don't know of anyone who has not had a child born with a birth defect, a child that was born too early, too small, too sick. Did you know 1 in 8 babies are born prematurely? And we don't know why.
1 in 8 babies.
1 in 8 babies.
That's on a, I know in Hollywood kept pumping up a figure, 168 babies born each week. in South Carolina. But you mean 1 in 8 babies nationally are born prematurely. That's a terrible figure.
Right.
That is a terrible figure.
Also, too, just another interesting number, 527 babies that were born this year in South Carolina didn't make it to their first birthday.
I did not know it was that.
March of Dimes research money is being used to help see if we can't correct that.
Yeah. You know, I know we've only got 8 or 9 minutes, and there are figures like that trying to drive home how you can make a difference, how a viewer can make a difference, how anyone can make a difference. It really comes to volunteering to help get donations in, raising funds for walks, helping to sell tickets for a chef's auction or real estate breakfast or any numbers of things, or just sending in a donation.
Right.
Sending in a donation, of course, calling that simple number or visiting marchadimes.com, which is a great one, even in Spanish. Nacersano.com is a great vehicle to get information and to make donations. But calling that phone number, you said Joe and Colleen are. It seems like they're always there, but we know they're always out helping put together Walk Americas or get the word out.
I don't know how they can be so effective while they're spread so thin, but they just do a marvelous job.
Well, Joe has Sterling, which is a bonus, and Colleen somehow pulls in other volunteers. They keep bringing folks in, and they're both so infectious.
If you want to be around high energy, happy, productive people, just go over and visit them for a few minutes, and it will affect you, believe me.
Over on Laurel Street in Conway, and that's 843-488-3463.
Correct.
You know, when you think about those early days for you back in '90, Nick, getting involved, you later went on to not only join the Horry County chapter, but found it. You were the founding chairman and remained that way, the honorary chair of the walk. You got a little more active than that first you're going to do it back in 1990. Nick, what prompted that?
You see so much good that's being done, and you also see how much need is out there and good yet to be done. But one of the nice things to know about the March of Dimes in South Carolina, Greg, 93 cents of every dollar that is raised by the March of Dimes goes directly back into programs for the March of Dimes. So we're not paying salaries, we're not paying for trips, we're paying for research to help babies.
Right.
So that is really what keeps me going, because I know that our money is being well spent. As a businessman, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's rare to see only 7 cents of every dollar go into organizational issues and fundraising. 93 cents of every dollar going straight into the mission to help fund research, as well as to make sure the word gets out.
That's why we need the volunteers. That's why we need people out there this afternoon to get excited about helping to save babies. It's going to be great. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for everybody to get involved.
Absolutely. You know, we think about our amazing honorary chair this year. I know you held that role for a number of years for the Horry County Walk America. We're prayerfully hopeful that Coach David Bennett will be with us today at 4:30, even to this minute. There's a chance that he's out at 7 a.m. This morning, that he's out still doing recruiting, but we sure hope he'll be there with us this afternoon at 4:30.
It's a very difficult time of the year for him, but you know, every year we have, the last two?
Yeah.
And Coach Bennett's been able to make it, so we're very hopeful that he will be able to be with us this afternoon too.
We'll know at 4:30.
Right.
But even if he's not there, he's there in spirit. He is totally behind the mission, and as Joe shared with us a couple of weeks ago, she was with us at actually a Beach First Center over there on Grissom, and the highlight there was hearing her talk about so much that'll make this today's event possible, and so many efforts that go in. They've got what all's going on this afternoon, Nick? There, if folks showed up, and everyone's invited, right?
Everyone, there is no admission. Everyone's invited. The more the merrier. Please come and join in the excitement. We talked earlier about Coach Bennett. We're praying that he'll be there, but if not, we're going to have a Coastal Carolina representative there as our new honorary ambassador. You all may have seen him if you're going to Coastal football games, but Ken Hunter's going to be there, and this is a phenomenal young man with a phenomenal story. I mean, he's an adult, but he has got so many things to talk to us about, and such a heart-warming story. And he will even talk how he's been affected by the March of Dimes. So,
he has been.
Yes, my understanding that he has been, and he's going to be a real inspiration for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Also, too, we'll have Hope and Isaiah, our new ambassador babies. They're twins, and Hope was born at 1 pound 7 ounces, and Isaiah was 1 pound 12, and they're doing great.
They are.
They're doing great.
Great, great. Share with viewers real quick the significance of ambassador babies, Nick. What does that mean, an ambassador baby?
This is a family that has been affected by premature birth or birth defects, and these children have been helped and aided by March of Dimes funds, and they literally become ambassadors for the March of Dimes to go out and tell the world and show the world what is being done by the March of Dimes and how we positively affected their lives. When you come this afternoon, it's going to be exciting and fun. Bring some hankies.
Right.
Because you're going to hear some real heart-bending stories that will just make you want to get involved right now. But that's the purpose of those children, and the main purpose is that they're alive to tell the story, and their parents can tell the story. It's going to be wonderful. So looking forward to it.
And year after year, that's one of the most exciting things. You try to think, oh, I'll do that next year, I'll do that next week, or even next month. Time is not. It is today at 4:30. It's a great opportunity to get there, even if you can't arrive right at 4:30. If you got to be at work till 5, still making that effort to be there at 4:30 for the kickoff, or to be there at any time.
4:30 to 6:30. So if you can't get there till 5:45, please come.
Absolutely. And you share with us about ambassador babies, Nick, and those run the gamut. We've had families year after year, whether the Saffels or the Parrots, and they all still get together and support the mission, but they really are the face of the March of Dimes.
They even form their own teams and going forward become very meaningful supporters of the March of Dimes.
I understand Horry County schools have done pretty well, both statewide and nationally.
What was it? Forest Brook? Was it Forest Brook?
Forest
was number
Brook
5 in the country.
Forest Brook and maybe PD Elementary. Horry County Schools, I believe, was 5 in the country. But anyway, it's a tremendous. One or the other, or both together, was fifth in the nation. I know those two together were the number 1 and number 2 schools in the state of South Carolina.
Incredible.
It is incredible.
And these children get so excited about it. I'm talking about the school kids, and they do such a great job. And Donna Hooks and all the folks over there have really gone out of their way to make this thing work well.
Absolutely. You know, there's so many folks you've got to think about, and it really is volunteers. But within the schools, you know, you heard Joe talking about the kids, the middle school students, or even younger or older, adopt those ambassador babies. I know Forest Brook adopted one, and it became theirs. I think it was Riley Saffels, but it may have been Luke Parrott there. And I know they really wrap around Stacy Parrott is there, and of course, to think of that impact for him and his family, to know that the entire student body is wrapped around his family must be a powerful feeling, and they really make it happen on the fundraising side.
Sure do.
Was it $267,000 last year, Nick?
We raised $267,000 on the walk last year, and just to kind of show where we've come from in Horry County. When I first got involved, we were raising around $100,000.
No way! You're just talking 5 or 6 years ago.
Well, actually, 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago it was right at $100,000. Our goal this year is $290,000.
Oh, come on!
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it with the help of all of your viewers, and
that's right, and
the community. We're going to do it.
And you got a great presenting sponsor, and hopefully we'll get many more. I know, again, per usual, Wachovia and others stepping up to the plate. Blue Cross Blue Shield coming in with another big number this year, and we're just thrilled to have all the involvement of sponsors, the Jackson Companies, Bank of America, others who make it happen.
Not to mention all the help and support we've received from the Herald over the years. We're very grateful for that, too.
Thanks, Nick. Those are great words, and thanks so much for being with us this morning. Sorry we've run out of time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Nick Sherfesee coming up next. The place is the Hard Rock Cafe. The event is the Horry County Walk America Kickoff. The time is 4:30. The date is today. You got to get out there. You got to get out there. That's 9 hours away. Take the time to plan your day out to be out there. And if you can't be there right at 4:30, get there at 5. If you can't be there at 5, get there at 5:30. But get out there. Saving babies together is the mission, and with your support, there's hope. 843-488-3463. If you can't be there, just make sure you're out at Coastal Carolina University. Registration's at 9. The walk kicks off at 10 on Saturday, April 28th.